this whole week, we've been focusing on different chakras each day. The chakras are energy systems in the body. And today our focus is on the root chakra. And so this is our grounding energy. So if you think this is the very first chakra to form when we were at a very young age. So think of it like a new baby just starting to set their roots into the ground, trying to just figure out what life is about as a human and what type of a situation was I born into. So that way, kind of like a plant, the tap root can go deep enough that it can constantly nourish itself. So that's the idea of this root chakra that we're working on today. And our class is a very gentle class, pretty easy, basic stuff, not going too quickly. And we're including extra breath stuff throughout, as well as an extended meditation before our shavasana at the end. And so all of this is focused on this root chakra, helping us to feel more safe, more grounded, more secure. And this is extremely powerful to work with the root chakra right now when life has kind of been thrown up in the air and we don't really know exactly what to expect from like one day to another, nonetheless 1 week to another, or 1 month to another. It's like we're kind of just like in limbo, trying to just be here day to day. And so working on this root chakra can really help us to feel much more grounded and much more settled energetically. And so that's our theme for today. And again, any questions that come up, just turn your mic back on and feel free to ask me throughout. But we'll, for this class, no props are required. But if you happen to have a block or a strap, there's places where you could use them, but nothing's required today. You should be able to do everything without any help at all. And just use whatever you have at the house. So like if you don't have a strap, you can use like a belt or a towel or a scarf or things like that. Just kind of use what you've got. And from here, let's make our way all the way down onto our backs. We're starting off in this beautiful shavasana position. And so the body, we're allowing the muscles to relax into the ground. Sometimes there's this tension that we hold in our body that we don't even realize it. And different people hold it in different areas. Some of us hold it in our shoulders. We kind of hike our shoulders toward our ears without even realizing it. Some of us just keep the core tight as if we're about, like, at any moment needing to fight or flight, that type of a response. And so as we're here laying on the ground for a few moments, we're trying to completely release all of that energy. Trying to find a very relaxed position with our body. And the first breath we'll play with here is a breath that allows us to kind of just feel like we're getting rid of some of any weird energy that's going on in our body. And so this breath, we take a huge inhale through the nose. It feels like the lungs are maybe like 90 or 95% of the way full. And then it's a sharp exhale out the mouth, trying to also completely exhale. So long, slow inhale, at least 3 or 4 counts in the nose. Sharp exhale. Let's take at least 5 more of those. After that 5th one, return back to a normal, natural breath. Just letting our body completely relax even deeper into the earth. Imagine that with each of those exhales, we got rid of some weird energy. So feel now what we're left over with. It's almost like we shook up an ice globe and now we're letting that snow settle back down and seeing, okay, what's left over now? And so from here, we'll start our first posture. Now know that when we're working with the root chakra, the majority of our focus will be on hamstrings, but we also include different areas of the legs, the hips, the IT band, all of those good areas. And so the very first stretch we're going to take is to bring the right knee in toward the chest, clasp the hands around that knee, and then bringing the knee directly back. It's as if that right knee is aiming for the right shoulder. So just take a few good breaths, pulling it inward as deeply as your muscles are allowing for right now. And just notice, how is the hip flexor area doing today? What's going on right there? Backing off just a little bit, we now aim the right knee toward the left shoulder. We're having both hands still clasped around the knee, but right knee coming over toward left shoulder. It's not able to go very far because of the shape of the head of the femur into the hip socket, but we still aim it slightly toward that direction, and we start feeling the IT band and some of those deeper tissues starting to open through the side of the hip and the thigh. Backing off slightly, we start to aim the knee wide to the right. We're only going as far as we can with both hands clasped around it. And we're aiming it super wide this time. So feel how it's very different muscles that are feeling the experience at this point. Now as we release the right hand down, the left hand traces this knee all the way into a twist to the left. We keep the right shoulder grounded, and then we just ask our spine, how much feels like an appropriate twist today? Occasionally there's days where my low back is aggravated, and when that's the case, I don't want to try to bring the knee to the ground. Rather, I'm just letting it hover off to that left side, just so that gravity can do its work to help elongate the muscles. Take another huge inhale. And with the exhale, the hips to return back down to the ground. This right leg now takes its chance to stretch up to the sky for the first time. And if you have that strap or that scarf, you're welcome to place the strap around the ball of that right foot. Loop your hands around the wrist so you don't have little T-Rex arms trying to hold it up, and straighten the leg up to the sky. And if you don't have that strap, that's okay. Just clasp your hands behind the back of the thigh or the calf, whichever you can reach. And as we're relaxing right here, the first cue that we're working with is straightening the leg. It naturally wants to bend because in our culture, when we sit down in a chair, the hamstring is in a very short shape. And so the hamstring wants to go back to that short shape. But here we're reminding it, you can be long, that is safe also. It's all gonna be okay. So lengthening the leg long. And now at this point, since we've been holding this pose for a little while already, it might be willing to go slightly deeper in the stretch. So if you're playing with that, with any inhale, we just check back in with the leg. Is it still as straight as I can go without locking the knee? And with any exhale, I try to bring the leg slightly closer to the body. Even a game of millimeters counts in yoga. So inhale again, straighten the knee. Exhale again, see if it wants to get pulled slightly deeper. And just keep on going until you find a good end place for your muscle today. And then just breathe a little bit longer. imagine that this leg that you're looking at was actually a root, and that root has maybe been in not the freshest ground. I'm even imagining maybe it's been soaking in water, and there's been mold and gross bacteria growing around it, such that the root is not able to actually feed you very, very efficiently. So imagine as we're taking this root out of the ground for a moment and giving it that chance to just stretch, imagine that we're cleaning off some of that gunk so that our root can ground us into the actual earth and feed us the nutrients that we need. Let's take 2 more huge breaths deep into the belly. As we release the strap, or as we release our hands, let the ankle do a few little rolls to each direction, just loosening out any tightness that might be present there. And then when you're ready, start to drop this right leg all the way down. Before we do anything on the second side, close your eyes and just feel how this right leg feels now. Imagine that left leg still has to be cleaned, and just feel this difference between right and left at this moment in time. Good. So from here, we're ready to start playing with the second side. We start off with this left knee coming in toward the chest, hands clasped around the knee. The first angle is that we pull the knee toward the left shoulder, gently giving it that tug inward. How are these hip flexors doing? Sometimes left and right sides are so different from one another. Backing off just a little bit, we aim the left knee toward the right shoulder. This is the one that can't move very much, but that gentle intention of tugging it helps you to feel the IT band start to stretch. And then backing off the knee slightly, we still have both hands clasped around the knee. This time it goes wide to the left. So give it a few breaths from that angle. Good. Bringing the leg back through the center, the right hand takes it all the way into the twist. Remember, you don't have to go super far. Just go to that spot where the low back is feeling just open enough. When the hips return back down, we take the chance for the leg to stretch up to the sky for the first time together. And so if you use the strap before, grab it again. If not, again, just clasp behind the back of the leg wherever your hands can reach. As the leg's extending its way upward, first things first, we start off straightening through the knee. If you've ever had a hamstring injury where you pulled your hamstrings, sometimes the muscle wants to protect itself and it doesn't want you to go all the way straight. So if that's what your experience feels like today, you're welcome to back even lower than 90 degrees. There's nothing wrong with that angle if that's where you feel a good stretch and the muscles are able to be long. Remember I usually do a little loop around the wrist if you're using that strap, because it makes it so your hands don't get so tired holding the strap up the whole time. So again, if the leg can go straighter, try to straighten it a little bit more. These first couple of breaths in the pose are the chance for the muscles to start lengthening. It doesn't take long for muscles to lengthen, about 30 to 45 seconds or so. But that requires this conscious breathing, because the breathing sends the signal to the body that it's not in any sort of stress, any sort of trauma. And so it can be in a relaxed, long state. So at this point, if it feels like you can go a little bit deeper, take a few breaths with our inhale. We try to straighten the knee, never locking. Exhale, we see if the leg's willing to get a little bit closer to the torso. So try that a few times. If it wants to go deeper, inhale, straighten again. Exhale, pull closer. And just keep on going until you feel like you found a good edge to just be at for a little bit longer. Two more huge breaths. Again, visualizing this as a root, and we're helping to clean the root out just by stretching up here. And then with our gentle release of the strap, we begin to roll the ankle out several times, both directions. Again, lowering this leg all the way to the earth. Take a moment to close the eyes and feel how our roots are doing now. I love it how I can feel a difference in my body even after just one stretch. And so now let's make our way up toward a seated place. We'll bring our knees into the chest for a moment. Just rock left and right on the low back so that you can feel how that low back is doing. Check in with it. And then when you're ready, we'll begin to roll up toward a seated place. And if you want to roll like a ball just 3 or 4 times, sometimes that little massage for the spine can be so helpful. And so then once we're all the way up, we're going to take this next pose specifically to help out the low back. This is one of my favorite stretches for that low back area. So it's like a cobbler's pose. The bottoms of the feet are together and the knees are open. But with this one, our feet are quite a bit further forward than cobbler. In true cobbler, we're trying to scoot our toes in as deep as possible. With this one, they're a full foot or foot and a half further forward than that. From there, make sure you're taking your hips with you as you start to tilt forward. And then just let the spine be happy and heavy. The whole weight of the head is trying to weigh the spine down. And as I release my head downward, oftentimes that's what helps me feel like every single bone and every single muscle in the vertebrae are getting pulled and lengthened. Head heavy, just relaxing for several breaths. And then as I try to get into the muscles that are right next to the spine, the movement that I take is I place my right hand on the right knee The left hand goes to the outside of the leg. And then as I straighten my right hand on that right knee, it helps to shift my nose over the left knee. So feel that still hanging heavy of the torso and the head, but straightening that right arm to shift you over to the left side. Feel how this brings you into the muscles next to the spine on that right part of the back. Go low through the center with the head. Switch the arms out, so left hand is on the left knee, right hand frees its way off. And then as you straighten that left arm, nose goes over right knee. This time we're getting the left half of the back. And then start to relax your spine back long through the center. Take 3 or 4 more breaths to remind the vertebrae what the straight forward position feels like. And then roll the vertebrae up, stacking one at a time until posture is nice and tall. Keep one hand at each knee, and almost like a cat-cow spine. With our inhale, the heart gets pulled forward, the head rises up just a little bit. And with the exhale, the spine gets rounded backwards. Maybe we can even feel that stretch right in between shoulder blades. Let this be mostly about the pelvis though. So feel the pelvic bowl tilt forward and feel it round backward. Let's take 5 more cycles with our breath. Inhales. Exhales. 4. 3. 2. 1. And then posture back upright, nice and tall. Bring the knees together. The feet are planted on the floor. And we're going to hug around our thighs. So giving a nice deep hug. If you can clasp around wrists, clasp there. I can usually get to my elbows. So however deep you can hold on to, that's what we're trying to grab with. And the goal of having that hug is that we're gluing our torso right to the top of the thighs. That's the connection that we're never going to lose as we head deeper into this posture. So from that glued torso to thighs, begin to walk 1 foot an inch or so forward. And then the second foot goes an inch or so forward of that. And just continue to walk your feet forward until eventually you find the edge where your torso's about to come off of the thighs. And so just keep on going forward. Some people are able to go almost all the way to flat on the ground. Some people are almost at the beginning, and all of these ranges is okay. The important thing is that we're gluing torso to thighs because that helps our low back and the hips to already be tilted into the stretch, meaning that we're getting into a really good placement with our hamstrings. And so once again, if you're able to rest the head heavy or even drop the head onto the knees, just let the head take that nice relaxed position as the hamstrings and the low back and even the glutes get a really good chance to stretch here. It may feel like you're not able to take a very deep breath, but see if you can still breathe all the way down into your belly, letting your belly expand outward into the thighs. preparing to come out of this, we plant our hands on the floor next to each side of us. And then as we straighten the arms up, that's how we support our spine up and out of it. Our back has been being stretched very long, so we don't want to jerk our way back up and out immediately. Now notice where the legs are at right now. They might be a little bit bent, or they might be able to go all the way along to the ground. Choose a good spot that helps you to still be straight and tall right up through the center here. And from here, without the hug, we're going to make our way back forward. So tilt your pelvis forward. Your spine is extremely straight all the way up to the shoulders. And from here, you've tilted as far forward as you can with a straight spine. So let your body have a moment to relax. And then we'll pulse back and forth between a straight spine and then seeing if it's able to relax slightly deeper. So this is the first pulse. Try to re-straighten from the low back up to the tip of the head. And maybe the hands can walk slightly further on the sides of your legs. And exhale, relax. Melting your spine like it's chocolate in the hot sun. From that position, re-straighten. Low back up to head. Maybe the hands can walk just slightly forward and relax even deeper. And one more time, re-straighten. Maybe the hands can go even further and relax. Starting to rise out, just let the hands walk gradually toward your body. Sitting back upright, swing our knees under the body. And from a kneeling place, let's take 3 rounds of cat-cow. So exhale, rounding up to the sky. Inhale, belly down, gaze up. 2. And 1. Beautiful. Now from here, if you have the strap and block, bring them to a place where you can easily grab them if you need them. And then we're going to rise up for just a brief moment into a downward facing dog. Tuck the toes, lift the hips nice and high. The right leg floats up as high as it possibly can. And then we step that right foot forward in between the hands. We drop down onto the back knee and we take a moment relaxing our hips forward. So if this is difficult to reach, this is a place where you can have the block under that left hand. That's perfectly fine. Or if reaching the floor is still okay, that's great. You can either stay in this shape or have the right hand reach back and grab the back toes. If you can't grab the toes, this is a place where you can grab that strap to loop around the foot and into your hands. So quads are another placement of the root chakra, another place where that energy flows. So here we're starting to get into that half of the movement, that half of the stretch. So holding here just a little bit longer. And then as we release those back toes, lift the back toes up, lift the knee up, and then rotate onto that back heel. This brings us to this long edge of the mat. And we've got a few variations we can play with here. So the left leg is stretching long, the right knee is bent. We're kind of hovering over that heel. The heel can be lifted like I have here, or you can scoot it yourself a little bit closer to the back of your mat to have it down. You've got both places to play with. And you can either work on planting your hands and lowering further and further downward toward the floor, That's a great way to get into the root chakra stretch. Or you could also start lifting your spine upward with fingers on the ground. Start working fewer and fewer fingers to touch until maybe one hand comes to your heart and maybe the other. The root chakra is also in charge of helping us to have balance and stability in life. So both areas, going down for the stretch or coming up for the balance, both are very powerful ways to work with this root chakra. So either way, wherever you're at, take a few good breaths. By the way, if your knees are ever having troubles, you can lift up a little bit higher for more of a squat like this. So just know that is an option. Let's take one more huge breath in. And then with our exhale, we're going to purposely straighten both legs. They're nice and wide. And we're choosing our favorite hand position. So some people will just leave hands directly on the floor. Some people will grab ankles. And as the elbows pull out to the sides, we pull our torso closer underneath us. And some people will reach the hands under and through, walking into that stretch behind us. So just choose the best spot to play with today. At least for this first one. We've got a second side coming up later. And notice how these muscles are very different than some that we've been working with so far. Now walk your hands up to the top of the mat, planting both hands. Step this front foot back into downward facing dog. Take another moment to lift the hips up super high. Feel the stretch through the entire backside of the legs. If the hips are lifted high, the spine is straight, the hamstrings are straight, only then the next step to work with is starting to drop the heels down. If you're still working on the other steps, hips lifting high or hamstring straightening, don't even worry about heels yet. Heels dropping down gets us to stretch the calves, so it can be very nice. But you even have the option to pedal out one leg at a time and you'll still feel the calf stretch there. Take another huge breath in. Nice exhale. Inhale, left leg floats up to the sky. Step that left foot forward in between the hands. The back knee drops down. And this is the place where we start to sink our hips forward to get the stretch on the psoas. If we have that flexibility, we're welcome to use the strap or just your hand to grab the left toes with the left hand. As we release from here, the back knee lifts up, the hands come to the inside of the front foot, walking further to the long edge of the mat. We either stay up in that high lunge if the knee is having issues, or we come to this nice low stretch for that inner thigh. The back leg, that right one, is very long. And once again, are we traveling forward, planting the hands, maybe working the elbows closer to the ground? Or maybe are we working with the balance aspect of this today? So the hands are on the ground, fewer and fewer fingers touch, until ultimately maybe we can find this balance. Find something steady to look at that's not moving. And from there we feel this peaceful, centered place. We've got about 5 more breaths. Keep the breath going. One more huge inhale. Exhale, drop the hands down, straighten both legs. Once again, take this stretch. Maybe you're doing the same hand position as earlier. Maybe you're playing with a new one. Rubbing ankles, reaching under and through. Play with it. Now from here, bring the hands to plant in front of you. If the floor is difficult to reach, grab your block and place your hands on that. And from here, one little step at a time, we're going to heel toe the feet in once, and then again, until gradually it gets closer. So just do the first one. And listen to how the stretch changes from that slightly shorter stance. Heel toe again. Heel toe again. And again. If it's too hard to reach the ground from this point, you're welcome to bring hands up to shins. Feel how the stretch is still changing as we heel toe again. And once more, until your feet are all the way together, big toes touching, heels slightly separated. Huge inhale, huge exhale, bend the knees, roll your spine up until you're up at a standing position. Good, shake it out for a moment. Okay, tree pose, standing on left foot. The right knee rotates open as much as the hip can without actually taking the hips into a twist. The foot is welcome to be in kickstand version on the floor. It can come up to ankle, calf, or thigh. Have this opportunity to feel your left root. Imagine it's like a stake going into the ground 10 feet deep. And there's nothing that could move you at this moment. Another huge inhale, huge exhale. Plant this right foot. Right away, send that stake down into the ground. Flatten the foot onto the earth to create a larger surface area. Left knee starts to rotate open. We're in tree pose at the ankle, the calf, or the thigh. Remember, the rest of the posture is tall. What good is it if our roots can go down, if our tree is just kind of withered here? So lots of length, reach upward. Use that support to help you grow tall. Another good inhale. Exhale, drop this foot down. Float the left knee out in front of you. And be keeping the hands at the heart, begin to kick back into a warrior 3 position. So you're creating a long angle from heel to head. Maybe you're taking a nice easy angle like this, or maybe you're going all the way closer to a 90-degree angle. And from here, the back toes land into a lunge, nice and gentle. The arms sweep up overhead. Take a huge inhale. Exhale, experience warrior 2 for a moment, hips opening up toward the side of your mat. Feel the back inner arch lifting, strengthening through that area. Feel the front knee tracking open toward pinky toe. Now the front elbow rests on the front thigh. Or you can even drop the fingers down onto the block. The other arm stretches in a long angle from ankle all the way up to that wrist. Good, rising back up to warrior two. Now straighten the front leg. Triangle pose, reach the fingertips forward. And then that right hand drops down onto shin or maybe onto block. We keep the hips very open, they never collapsed down as this top hand starts to rise. Good, rising back up. One more stretch on this side. Shorten the stance as you're facing back to the short edge of your mat up at the top. You want both heels to be all the way down onto the ground. Hands start off at the hips, making sure the hips don't tilt off to weird angles. Rather, they go directly forward as we begin to lean forward. When you're about halfway, hands start to work down to the thigh, down to the shin, maybe to the block or maybe to the floor. Bending the knees, roll back up to standing, step back up to the top of the mat, second side. From here, the right knee floats. Hands are at the heart. Feel this moment of balance. And then kick that leg back behind you, any angle of warrior three. Maybe a nice easy one like this. Maybe going quite a bit deeper. And then bending the standing leg, gently land the toes back behind you, heel goes all the way down. Warrior one, sweep the arms up. Huge inhale. Exhale, rotate open. Warrior two, the knee tracks open, back inner arch lifted. And extended side angle. Elbow down. Long stretch from fingertips down to heel. Rising back up, warrior two. Straighten the front leg, triangle pose. Reach forward, keeping the hips exactly as they are. And then the hand drops down to shin, top hand rises up directly. Good, floating back up. We face toward the short edge of the mat up at the top. Shorten the stance so that both feet can be completely flat. Hands at the hips. Bend forward. When you're about halfway there, hands go down to the thigh. Maybe that's where you stay to keep the front leg straight. Maybe you go down to shin, down to block, or down to floor. If you bend that front knee, you're taking the stretch out of the hamstrings, so keep it long. Bending the knees, roll up to a standing spot, stepping up to the top. One more balancing pose. We're starting to wrap up our class, heading toward that final root chakra meditation. And so this one is one last balancing pose. If you need the wall, that's perfectly fine. Standing on left foot, grab the right toes behind you. Pulling it in. If you're not feeling the quad stretch, follow these cues. Knees go close together, and then tailbone scoops under and forward. That teeny little hip tuck does wonders to build the quad. And so 3 more breaths right here. Good, dropping this foot. Second side, catch left hand and left foot behind. Knees get close together. Tailbone scoops under and forward. Good, dropping this foot down. We'll make our way. We'll try to balance as we travel down to the ground. If this is not working for your knees, just come down to a seated place and we'll join you in just a moment. With inner thighs touching together, squeeze that energy inward. Hands at the heart. Start to bend the knees and lift up the heels. Trying to balance as we come to a nice low squat. One more good breath in. And then place one hand in front of you, one hand behind you. Lower your hips down to the ground. And allow both legs to lengthen out nice and wide. One last chance for our legs to stretch as we simply walk our hands forward. Feel how open and long these legs and hamstrings are. So much gratitude for our body, for all this, all that it's opened up for us today. All this length, all this energy. So now walking back up, we'll make our way onto our backs. Swing both legs together. Go slowly all the way down onto your back until you're relaxed all the way down. Once you're down, if you need to do any little shifting and adjusting on your back to be comfortable, that's fine. Sometimes I'll put the block or a bolster under my knees to just make my low back more comfortable. Sometimes I'm perfectly fine just laying all the way flat. So find whatever's comfortable for you. Take a huge inhale through your nose. A nice exhale through your mouth. Twice more. With the inhale, you're gathering any weird energy you don't want in your body. Exhale, get that out of your body. And with your eyes closed, imagine all that you just exhaled is being burnt up with a beautiful purple flame right above you. It no longer needs to be there. We don't need stress chemicals in our body. Feeling our body relaxing into the earth. We're going to take a little journey through our meditation today. I invite you to imagine like an artist does. Let the canvas in your mind's eye be wide open to any sorts of details that are wanting to come forward today. So in this beautiful permission to have imagery, see yourself in a wooded forest. This could look like many different things. It could look like a national park, maybe the sequoias in California. Maybe something else. Maybe there's different types of trees. Beautiful aspens. Just imagine yourself barefoot walking through this beautiful forest. And there's no sound but your foot landing on the ground. Feel how calm and relaxed it is. It's as if everything in this world conspired for you to have this peaceful, serene moment right here, right now. Maybe you imagine little birds tweeting. And here you begin to hear a source of water trickling in the distance. And so you begin to walk to this water. And you walk into this water. And the water is the perfect temperature for you. And it's the perfect height. Maybe it's to your ankles or your knees. And as you've walked into this little stream or this river, imagine sending your roots down into the earth that this was something physical that actually could ground you right here, making you unmovable in this stream or this river. And imagine your roots going all the way down, clear deep into the earth, maybe finding a beautiful cave of crystals to wind your roots around. Or maybe imagining they're going all the way to the center of the earth, winding around that beautiful core and grounding you. And from that solid root system, there is nothing that could move you about this stream. And so you're standing solid and strong. And you feel this stream, not like normal water, but almost like a beautiful, wonderful feeling water that it's as if it's washing you away energetically. It's cleaning you, clearing your whole system. And maybe that you're allowing this water to go deeper. You choose the depth. You would be safe even if it went above your head. And so feel this beautiful temperature and feel this stream clearing you energetically all the way from the toes to the head. And as the water begins to recede, you find yourself walking out of this stream, coming into this beautiful Shavasana position, laying on the ground. And as you're laying here, you imagine a beautiful red glowing happening from within your low pelvic area, your roots, your root chakra. And imagine that red glow helping you to know absolutely that you are safe, that you're financially secure, that nothing today need your anger or your stress or your anxiety. Everything is taken care of you, at least for today. So with this comfort of the glow inside of your body, to lead us into these next few minutes with our Shavasana, just let your breath flow and let your body receive these beautiful calming sensations. begin to deepen your inhales and your exhales. Introduce little movements back into fingers and toes, ankles and wrists. Starting to stretch out like you're waking up first thing in the morning. Eventually rolling over to a nice fetal position on one side. Take 2 more deep breaths until you press yourself up to a comfortable seated position. And as you rise up, we join our hands together in front of our heart and feel into our body and into our energy right now. Feel ourselves grounded, heavy, but not of a lethargic quality, of a very earthy quality. And feeling ourselves safe and secure and calm. And so with these nurturing qualities of the earth to help lead us into a marvelous day today, let's wrap up this wonderful time we got to share with a sound of Om. Inhaling together now. Om. May we be filled with light and happiness and peace. Namaste.